Everybody's got a blank page, a story they're writing today, a wall that they're climbing. You can carry the past on your shoulders. You can start over.
Welcome to Battleground Believers, where we want to tell His story through your stories. Many engage in debates about the existence of God and seek empirical evidence, often questioning the validity of scriptures. However, a transformed life is undeniable. The most powerful way to share the gospel is through the Word of God and its impact on lives. So welcome to Battleground Believers, where we are dedicated to sharing His story through your stories.
I know you think there's no hope, no, but that ain't true. Jesus saved.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Battleground Believers this morning. A little bit different look. We have a few more people in the studio. We brought in my wife, Patty, and we brought in Chase Blackburn. He's our one of our kids, actually. And then, of course, Matt Carter is here with us this morning. And we're shooting in the amazing 2 Bar Blue studio. Yes, nailed that. But we're kind of changing the format a little bit. We're still going to interview people and get testimonies. We still believe that we want to tell his story through your story, very much so. But this morning we thought we would spend a little time getting to know Chase and have some discussion about faith and where he is in that and those kind of things. So, Chase, tell us a little bit about yourself. You know, like obviously you grew up in Huntington, Indiana. But once you left Huntington, Indiana, you joined the military. Tell us a little bit of, we'll kind of go through being in the military and where you are now, because the kid I knew was an amazing child. But he was rather rough sometimes around the edges. And I knew Chase was either going to go really far in life and do amazing, or he's going to end up in prison. And he didn't go to prison.
I didn't go to prison. That was a pretty good guess there. But no, so when after, what was it, 2019, 2020 deployment.
Where'd you deploy to?
We went to Kuwait. Okay. So I said we, but I went there by myself with my unit, right? But that's when I actually met my wife. So when I came back, we had decided we were going to move in together. So that's when I moved away from Huntington down to Greenwood at the time. Now we're in Franklin. But anyways, we moved in together when we got back, and she was actually I don't even remember what the MOS is called now. Religious.
She was a chaplain's assistant.
Chaplain's assistant. Okay. Thank you.
I don't know what the numbers are. But
Yeah. There's like a name for it, I guess. But she was a chaplain's assistant, right? And a little bit. me on the
Sorry, keep going.
No, you're all right. And then as you know, for me, I'm not really a religious person. I'm not against religion or anything like that. I just don't believe it, right?
What?
Yeah, what? Surprise!
No. What he doesn't know is we're shanghaiing him today. Just kidding. Go ahead.
But yeah. So we moved in together, and that was something that was like really big for her. I don't think honestly it wasn't like a predominant thing in her life. Like she went to church, and she did the typical things I guess you would think is, but she also had like a lot of bad things that she would that she was okay with being a part of when
so
we first met.
She had faith in her life, but she still did not operate like
like she was, I don't know.
She's strayed. She still
Sure.
believed.
Yeah.
She's strayed. Just like
she believed.
She's
but,
still sheep.
Yeah.
She's still.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I think there was a phrase that they used in church one weekend, and I was like, you know what, that's the best way to describe that, and I don't remember what it is now. But anyways, so that was something that we came back and we lived together, and both of us got out of the military, and we were just kind of like living our life. She had a daughter already, my stepdaughter, and she's now 14. Yeah, 14. She just
I
started.
really do know my grandkids.
Just started her freshman year in high school.
Oh,
Yeah. So we just started that this week. That'll
so
be.
you're gonna need this more than you know.
Yeah.
You're gonna be praying a lot.
Wow.
I've got the older ones. I had an 18-year-old girl, and I've got a almost 16-year-old now. You're gonna be talking to him a lot.
So you guys come back from Kuwait. You guys move in together. You got a stepdaughter. She has some base of faith, and what I remember from you, you were very like, yeah, it's great that you guys,
Yeah.
thanks,
Good
but no
for you,
thanks.
but
So how does that take place? You know, like you're like, I'm madly in love with this woman, and she's like, I love Jesus. Well,
yeah.
how did that go?
Well, it started with, I need to get back into going to church every Sunday. And I'm like, well, you have fun with that, right? And she's like, well, for Trinity, right, she needs to see that that we're participating as a family, yada, 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 right? And I'm like, you know what? This is something that they already did. I don't want to bring anything, negative to this side.
I'm a package deal. I'm gonna go with it. Yep.
It's an hour for Trinity, which our relationship was still very fresh because even though, me and Misty had known each other for 6 months, me and Trent had known each other for
6 minutes.
5 days.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, crap. All right, so I'll have to do this, and then I'll just do it, and then, if it becomes something that's an issue for me, oh, well, if I have something to do, I just won't go on Sunday, and I'll go do this thing, and I'll have a reason for not being there, right? So only don't go if you have a reason not to go, because you always have a reason to go if you're supporting your family, right?
Right.
So, kind of started out that way, and it wasn't bad. The church that we go to is super great. I like the pastor. I like everybody there. It's not like a big mega church.
You can give them a shout out if you want. That's okay.
Okay. But yeah. I'm trying to think. But yeah, no, it was good. Everything was good. I still had, it was normal me stuff. So if somebody would say something that, might have on the logic side of things, like factually incorrect, I can't pick out a specific scenario, but if somebody said something about something that was happening in the world and like the number was wrong or the percentage is wrong, like that's actually incorrect. And then my wife's like, stop nitpicking everything. That wasn't the point. You're right. You're right. But then, she started, like really getting more into like changing her life so that she was, actually following the Bible. And, it started with like music. So, quit drinking and all that stuff. And, when it first started, it was all like, well, I need to do this because, this is what's on my heart. And I'm like, that's fantastic. I'm not going to do that. Like, that's
You do you, boo.
yeah. And she did, and like as we started, like as these things started coming up, and like there was like drastic changes, and then we'd get like super heavy on stuff. I think a lot of it I was pretty accepting on, until like like I think the first like big thing that I was like, listen, this is a little bit silly, is when we were talking about there was a movie that she didn't want Trinity to watch. Trinity, I think she was like 10. Onward is some cartoon movie.
Yeah.
Because there's like magic or whatever with, the kid's dad who had died, but he was like coming back to life for whatever this. I don't even remember the movie, but it looked like it was funny, and it looked like something that me and Trinity would like watch together, because that's one of the things. Like when Trinity was young, like we cooked together, like breakfast in the kitchen. We had all the, Disney music sing-alongs, like, and we watched movies together. Like that's what we did. And then a new movie came out, and this is about the time where like it was a little bit harder to find things that she would sit down and watch that we could all watch together because, you know, she was getting to that point where like kids movies were too kiddie for her. She was getting older.
But adult movies were too adult for her because she's adolescent. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like that weird stage. And then, so I was like, oh, this is great. You know, this is a thing. And she's excited to see it. And Trinity wanted to see it. And Mom's like, no, because of magic. I'm like, come on. Are you kidding me right now? Like, when has this ever been a thing? You know, her sister went like, that's not a good thing to say, whatever. Her sister went like super overboard with it, like before like Misty did. So like,
Wait, don't you have a name for him?
What do you call
don't you
them?
have, what do you call them? Wackadoos.
Wackadoos.
Yeah,
That's what it was.
I've used that a few times in our,
yeah, and that was like full bore, like what her sister did, and like she would tell me about all these things, like the kids can't watch Harry Potter, and you know, they can't do this or whatever. But you go over there and you see them playing like video games that are probably not good. But I'm like, okay, well, that doesn't make any sense to me. These people are wackadoos. So then, you know, that was when we all first met, right? And then, so now Misty's entering like what I see as like wackadoo phase, where we're like, all right, we're gonna start, you know, canceling movies now, because they have magic in them.
like now, or are you talking about
Back then? He's talking about
Then, I mean,
Okay.
we cancel movies now. We've grown past that, but this was like my first like
encounter of it.
real like roadblock.
Were you during that time? Were you still like, hey, this Jesus thing is just what people do to get themselves through, or did you feel yourself starting to soften? Like, hey, maybe I need to explore this at this point.
I think both. Like, I don't think like in my adult years I've ever been like, you know what, I'm not gonna, you know, shut it out, right? Like when we have conversations about this stuff, I'm like, you know what, it's not something that upsets me. Like I absolutely love to have some type of like intelligent conversation or whatever, and a lot of the times
Intelligent. Did you hear that?
Why are you on the show?
well, you know, intelligence by comparison, right? So I'm only about yay high, so pretty easy to keep up with me, right? But no, I think that you know, I was always willing to, you know, hear what other people had to say. It's just a lot of the times when you have the, you know, that the weekend warrior that goes to church like 1 weekend a month, like it's hard to have a conversation with those people, because if they're not gaining more of an understanding in their faith, like actually learning instead of just showing up to church and waiting for the pastor to tell them that they can or can't do something and follow that for that week or whatever, having a conversation with that guy, it literally just fortifies my like, hey, this is all for wackadoos, right?
Well, if it means anything, we feel the exact same way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think the whole thing that people miss is it's not a list of rules and regulations, right? If you're following rules and regulations, then all you're doing is changing a behavior, and we're trying to change a life, and that's the relationship with Jesus would change the life, and then you would change your behavior because of that relationship, and not because you went, oh, here it says I can't watch Harry Potter, so no more Harry Potter. Oh, I can't drink, so I'm not. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, and you know, that makes complete sense. I mean, like when we have conversation, like when I was younger and we would have conversations just sitting at the house, it was, you know, that is I'm completely fine having those conversations. Conversations.
He's an amateur.
I got problems.
You're an amateur.
No, but those conversations, those are perfectly fine. And like that's where I think sometimes people got things a little bit confused with me, is like having conversations with that you know, other type of people, the weekend people, like those are just annoying, and they say stuff, and I just will throw out some random stuff, and maybe it seems a little bit hostile. Like I get that, but that's because I think you're stupid, and it's pointless having a conversation with you, right? So if I you know, having a conversation with you, or like when we were on deployment, you know, we met. She was working with the priest, and that's who she traveled with. But like he was awesome. that dude loved Jesus, cigars, and whiskey in that order, right? And super obviously he's a priest, right? Super educated guy. Still don't believe in all the Catholic wackadoo stuff, but
No, I don't either.
Yeah,
but I did.
We're on the same page.
I did get to learn a lot of things, though. Not saying that Catholics are wackadoos or anything like that.
No, you can. I think you can learn.
Boo-boo.
I think you can learn different things from multiple different, whether it's Catholic, it's, whatever. Even the Muslims, you can still learn quite a bit from them and their religion of what they believe.
And then like some of the things that I look at, which is nice that we had that connection with Ahern, was like as a whole, right?
Ahern is the name of the priest, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just trying to clarify for the audience.
Yeah. So, but like, if I'm like, all right, well, you have, Christians of 1,800 different denominations, and then you have, Catholics, and then you have your Jews and all this stuff, right? And they, grand scheme of things, right? Relatively close. If you go back to the foundation of God, right? They all believe. So I'm like, all right, who decides, like, why are these people right, or why are these people right, or these people right? So being able to understand the difference between all of those is, I think, where we started at with our conversations with him. Like, of course, I had random stuff, like random questions that were just, I don't know, I guess testing which way this conversation was going to go when I'm first meeting this guy. So I'm like, why were there no dinosaurs on the ark? And he's like, all right, let's get past all these stupid questions. What are you actually trying to ask me? Like, what do we need to talk about? I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Like, whether or not I get an answer to why there are no dinosaurs on the ark, or why they were, and I just misunderstood, then wasn't going to help me move forward in anything. And that's one of the things that he kind of pointed out. Like, you're just looking for reasons to say that this is wrong, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, cool. Let's have a different conversation then.
I mean, the one roundabout way, that's what you were doing, though, too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So he wasn't wrong, and he knew it, and he called you out, and he's like, let's go, come on, ask me a real question.
I'm like, all right, cool, this guy's smart, we can have conversations. And, there were several nights where we were just hanging out in the clamshell, and where we would just sit down and we'd have normal conversations, talk about everything. I wouldn't say like it made me believe any more or any less, but it gave me more of an understanding of like where people are at when they start acting a certain way in accordance with what this is. And I think that kind of helped me stop using the word wackadoo as much, because I'm like, all right, this is why. Like, when people would like stop doing something and they're like, oh, well, I'm like, well, that's not in the Bible. Like, I've read the Bible before. I don't remember seeing that. And I'll get on my phone and start doing some Googling. Yeah, that's not in the Bible. It never says that anywhere. But that was one of the things that they were, when we started talking about callings and things like that. Like, all right, they feel like that's heavy on their heart and they're not going to do it, and that's something that Jesus is telling them. So, cool. That's less wackadoo to me. If you really believe that and you feel like it's wrong and you stop doing it, fantastic. If you tell me, I feel like this is wrong, so I'm going to stop doing it, that's going to make me feel like you're less wackadoo. So, so I don't know. That just like helped me be less dismissive of some of the things, so it was easier to, I guess, for me to follow along. But some of the things I didn't get behind, like the movie thing at first, and that was a conversation that continued for a while.
So was there real contention in the beginning? Like, I mean, obviously you two were in love with each other, but did that make things kind of difficult to have a believer and we're going to say non-believer? Because
I think only at certain points. Me and my wife work really well together. She's really good at pretty much all the things that I'm really bad at, so it really just kind of worked out. She cleans and all these things, and she's like super OCD about that stuff, and I'm a slob. She's really great.
Amen.
You raised a slob?
Yeah.
Yes.
she married a slime.
She's a budget Nazi, and I throw money out the car window. Like, so, all that stuff worked out. She can't cook.
Randy, he said Nazi. We're going to have to cut that out.
We'll get that
I'm
in post.
I'm joking.
We'll get that in post.
Yeah, so like she doesn't, she wasn't a cook. They didn't eat vegetables until like we lived together. So that's what I do. I'm, more patient than she was at the time. That's drastically improved. But so it worked out really well. I think there was only like certain points where she didn't know how to, like, I don't know, maybe approach a topic from maybe not a religious standpoint and just like from her standpoint. The reason I'm more accepting and pushing through and just doing this stuff, a lot of this stuff, is like initiated from because it mattered to my wife and it matters to the kids, right? And that's it. So if you come at me with an argument, well, in the Bible, or if you're a Christian, or, if you're doing this as a Christian, or blah blah blah, like if that was her like focal point, like you're never gonna win that argument with me. Like that means nothing to me. But for her, eventually we got to the point where she started saying like, listen, this is how I feel about it. Yes, it's based on this, and this is why I feel this way. But that's the way I feel about it. One of the I think the turning points for that was like the Halloween conversation, right? We don't do Halloween. Halloween, I loved because, like, when I was at my dad's, we would do this whole haunted porch thing. It was something that we did together, and it was something that took a long time. So it's not like hanging out with your dad for an hour. It was, and whatever.
Yeah, it's pretty elaborate setup.
Yeah, it's like you're a month before Halloween starts, you start planning something together, and then you start getting some stuff around, and then you're out there doing the physical stuff, and then Halloween's around, and then you're here, and then you get to like scare the crap out of people, and you're laughing, and it's fun, it's a good time, right? But that was like the whole month of October for me as a kid, was setting up that haunted house with my dad. So I was like, man, that's gonna be some like really cool stuff that we get to do when we have kids. And like the first year and the second year together, I think we did trick-or-treating with the kids. I mean, they were babies, and Trent didn't really care much for Halloween the second year, but yeah, we dressed up for Halloween, and then we're getting close to Halloween time, and she's like, nah, I don't think we should do Halloween. What? Nope, not happening. Like, we're not even having the conversation.
Right.
She's like, well, blah, blah, blah. And then the, first approach was the Christian thing. I'm like, all right, you're a bunch of wackadoos. I don't care. I'm still doing it. Mm-hmm. Like you gotta understand, right? I don't believe, so we're not gonna always do everything like the Christian way. Like, sorry, our kids are gonna be a mix.
That didn't happen.
We're a mixed couple. They go to church, but we watch dirty movies.
Yeah. But
the crazy part is I know how this ends.
Yeah. So so we have that whole thing, and it kind of ends there, and then we get to closer to time, and I get super busy with work, and so like the only other option is for her to take them out and whatever. So we actually missed Halloween that first year, before a decision was made, right? So we didn't do Halloween the year before. Trent didn't want to do anything, and then Felicity was still, I think she was like 1, maybe she was 2. I don't know. Either way, we didn't do Halloween that one year, and then so fast forward. Coming back around, we start that Halloween conversation again, but she takes a different approach this time. She said, "Listen, this is why I don't want Halloween," and give her her personal feelings about it. This is how she does, and then she's like, "What is that? What are you missing if you don't participate in Halloween?" And first easy answer that you don't even have to think about too much is like, well, all the other kids are going to be out there, they're going to be having a good time, she's going to see this, and she's going to have to miss out on it. She said, okay, well, like, do you have to, like, celebrate this, right? Because that's the problem. It's whatever the focus is, right? Why can't, the day after or the day before or whatever day you want, why don't you just, if she's missing out on some fun and she can't dress up like a princess or whatever, why can't you guys, tomorrow, why don't you just grab her, put her in her princess dress and go to, Sky Zone and hang out and let her jump around on the trampoline? Is that not something that she enjoys and you guys are still doing that together? And if it's the ritualistic aspect of it happening at the same time every year or, during whatever month, like, why don't you just make that on your own and just ignore Halloween? If you cared about it if you care about it that much and those are your only things, can't you fix that by doing it a different time and it not, go against the way that I feel about this stuff? No, I can't argue with that. That's logic. You win. Like, yeah, you're absolutely right.
So we're actually getting ready to wind down this episode, but what it sounds like is that your wife, figured out how to deal with you as far as to get where she wants and to do the things, but also at the same time, I think that you recognize, hey, I love my wife and family enough that I want to be a part of what's going on, which is a pretty mature thing for a kind of a young man. Most people say, hey, I don't believe in Christ and I'm going to do what I want to do. And if you want to believe that, fine. But you don't take that approach, which is, that's...
Yeah, I'd say it's step up because you literally are going to church with them and everything, even though something that you don't believe, but you believe in your family. So
yeah, the best part of this episode is we didn't have to have her jump in and yell at me for screaming or anything.
Next episode, though.
Yeah.
We'll
so
see.
we're gonna close out this episode of Battleground Believers with Chase, and the next episode we're gonna continue the conversation with him. This time, hopefully, we can talk more about faith and Christianity and kind of where he's at and where we are, and kind of discuss through the lens from a seeker. I would say you're kind of seeking.
Sure.
Yeah, like you're not saying, hey, I believe I'm not a Christian, but you're not saying it's totally out there, right?
Oh, see, I don't know. I don't know about seeker. I'm not really looking anymore, but I'm not, shutting anything off either.
So I feel like listening.
I feel like a seeker, you have to, actively be, pursuing something. I think I'm more of like a cell tower, just waiting for a ping.
Well, okay, so we're gonna leave it on that. Chase is a cell tower waiting for a ping.
He's waiting for the ping.
The crazy thing is the Lord hears that and He might send you a ping. But we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna thank Patty for being here today. She didn't say very much, and again, Matt Carter and Chase and Brad Dunnick from Battleground Believers, 2 Bar Blues Studio. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode. We hope you have a blessed day. And remember, we want to tell his story through your story, even if you're a cell tower. And thanks for joining us.
Before I took a breath, you breathe your life in me. You have been so kind.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode of Battleground Believers. We hope that the stories shared have touched your heart or made a positive impact in your life. We created this podcast to fulfill the Great Commission, as outlined in Matthew 28 verses 18 to 20, where Jesus said, "All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And surely I am with you always, to the very end of the age." Thank you for joining us at Battleground Believers. Remember, the best way to share the gospel and His story is through your story. Have a great day.